Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because what just detonated out of Minnesota in the last 24 hours is not a scandal. It is a political earthquake that just swallowed Ilhan Omar's entire message, her district, her credibility whole. Tonight, the quiet whispers are gone, the speculation is over, and the federal confirmation that just came out has sent Washington into full-blown panic mode. For the first time ever, investigators have traced Minnesota welfare dollars, taxpayer money through the very fraud network that's been exploding for months, straight into the hands of Al-Shabaab. This is a foreign terrorist group, a group linked to Al-Qaeda, and the group that the federal prosecutors are now saying has been skimming off the top of Somali remittance pipelines that run straight into Ilhan Omar's backyard. And when President Donald J. Trump got this briefing, he didn't hesitate, he didn't stall, and he sure as hell didn't ask for permission. He dropped the TPS hammer on nearly 1,000 Somalis in Minnesota, effective immediately. And the political shockwave has Ilhan Omar doing something we almost never see, melting down in public. Because this isn't just fraud anymore. This isn't mismanagement. This is terror financing. This is national security. This is Omar's district that's tied to one of the largest welfare scandals in American history, and the walls are closing in fast. And so when you hear her reaction, when you hear what she said today, you're going to understand exactly why her entire base is in free fall. Now, folks, the scale of this disaster is almost impossible to wrap your head around. Federal prosecutors are saying that the Feeding Our Future operation has now ballooned to 78 criminal indictments, and the total haul, money meant to feed American children, has blown past $250 million. And the deeper the investigations dig, the uglier it gets. Because this wasn't one organization or one mastermind or one misunderstanding. This was a coordinated network across Minnesota's Somali community, siphoning taxpayer dollars at a level that was never seen before in American welfare history. And just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, it did. Federal counterterrorism officials are now confirming that a portion of these stolen welfare dollars, this is money taken from American families, by the way, was traced through Somali remittance channels straight into territories that are controlled by Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda-linked terror group. This happened through the old Hawal system where money moves informally across borders, and Al-Shabaab taxes every transaction, meaning Minnesota's welfare fraud wasn't just corruption, it was a revenue stream for an active jihadist organization. Now, moments like this kind of remind us how many systems that we rely on every single day, especially when it comes to our retirement and our healthcare. And you can't see stress, but you can for sure feel it, especially when you don't trust your Medicare plan. This is why I partnered with Chapter. They lift that weight by simplifying your Medicare coverage. Now, one viewer said, it was like a load came off my chest. Now, most people are choosing lighter. They're dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen. And of course, it's completely free for the Ron Yates community, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number again is 909-563-8279. Here's another real comment from one of you guys. So B. Singletary said, call Chapter. I pay $0 for my Part B. I love them. Wow, that's powerful. So now let's talk about the heart of this entire operation, shall we? Safari Restaurant, the so-called community hero that prosecutors are now saying was nothing more than a factory fraud or a fraud factory, depends on how you look at it. They claim that they were serving 5,000 meals a day, 7 days a week, yet their actual food expenses barely even cracked $2,000. $2,000, guys. $2,000 cannot feed an army of children. It just can't. Can you imagine feeding an army of children with only $2,000? But it can disguise a money laundering pipeline. Investigators are saying that Safari acted as a central node, channeling federal nutrition dollars into payments hidden as charitable operations. And the defendants just keep dropping. One of the latest, Usman Kamar, might be the most shocking. This man was kicked out of the SNAP program back in 2015 for suspected fraud, already caught. Yet, Minnesota officials approved him for child nutrition funds anywhere. He wired over $100,000 overseas, paid $87,000 in kickbacks, and even bought property using stolen funds. Then came the 78th defendant from Pelican Rapids, claiming 6,000 meals a day, twice the town's population. This isn't fraud. This is a criminal ecosystem. And look, stories like this, they're exactly why most people feel lost trying to figure out what's true, what's a lie. I mean, what can you even believe anymore? The media landscape is a complete mess. Information spreads faster than anyone can even verify it. Algorithms trap you into these echo chambers, and most outlets are just paid to keep your attention, not to keep you informed. This is why why I use Ground News. Ground News pulls from over 50,000 sources, and it shows you the bias, the factuality, and ownership behind each one. I mean, take this very story on the Minnesota fraud scandal. Ground News shows that it's been covered by over 20 plus outlets, with left-leaning headlines downplaying the terror angle, while right-leaning outlets highlight the Al-Shabaab link. I mean, you can compare every headline in one place. I love it. In fact, scan the QR code on your screen right there. I absolutely love it because it really helps you to step outside the bubble. You can see different viewpoints and think critically. Get 40% off their Vantage Pan by clicking the QR code on your screen right there, or by visiting ground.news/Ron Yates. But here's where the scandal stops being just about the criminals, and it starts being more about the people who were supposed to be stopping them. So Minnesota state officials approve these operators again and again and again, even with past fraud flags right in front of them. They greenlit impossible meal numbers, ignored these obvious red flags, and allowed repeat offenders back into the system. So whether it was incompetence, indifference, or something far darker than that, the message is clear. The state was either asleep at the wheel or they were complicit. Now, what do you guys think it is? Do you think that the state was in on it, or do you think that the state was just simply asleep at the wheel? And so, with the fraud now crossing into potential terror financing, Minnesota's Republican delegation has had enough. Tom Emmer, Michelle Fishback, Brad Finstad, and even Pete Stauber have formally demanded that the DOJ open a full federal terror investigation. And their question is simple. Were Minnesota taxpayers inadvertently funding terrorism? Now, this is not political theater. That is national security. With 78 indictments, terror-linked remittances, and a state government that's asleep at the wheel, the GOP says that the scandal is no longer a local corruption issue. This is a direct threat to America. And of course, we can clearly see the ties between this and Ilhan Omar. Well, President Trump didn't waste a single second. The moment the terror financing assessment hit his desk, he slammed down the TPS termination order for nearly 1,000 Somali nationals in Minnesota, effective immediately. No grace period, no appeals, because in Trump's America, national security comes first every time. He framed this move exactly as it is: a defense of the nation, a shutdown of fraud pipelines, and a clear message that the United States will not fund terrorism directly or indirectly ever again. And this is when Ilhan Omar completely lost it. So Ilhan Omar marches out to the microphones and she declared, "Somalis are not terrorizing the nation. We are the fabric of America." Really? Okay. Well, she blamed racism, blamed xenophobia, blamed Trump, blamed everyone except the criminals stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. She framed the community as victims, not perpetrators. She refused to condemn the fraud. She refused to support the deportations. I mean, do any of you guys think that she should be supporting the deportations? Do any of you think that Ilhan Omar herself should be deported? But instead, Ilhan Omar attacked Trump for defending the country. This was a meltdown, public, defensive, and politically disastrous. Now, Omar's meltdown wasn't random. It was a survival instinct. Her entire political base sits inside of Minneapolis's Somali community. This is the very community that is now tied to the largest welfare fraud case in U.S. history, by the way. Many of these indicted individuals come directly from her own constituency, from her fundraising circles, from the networks that helped her get into office. And so now every new arrest threatens her credibility. Every new indictment tightens the rope. She's not defending the community. She's defending the political structure that keeps her in power. And at the center of Ilhan Omar's worldview is something that's far bigger than electoral panic. It's post-American ideology. This belief system says America gained power by exploiting others. So now restorative plunder is justified. Now, according to this logic, pre-1964 America was illegitimate. The Constitution is fundamentally racist, and loyalty should shift from the nation to one's ethnic identity group. This is why Ilhan Omar's rhetoric always frames Americans as the villain and her community as eternal victims. It's not political strategy, it's ideological doctrine. Now, if you want proof of how deep this post-American mindset runs inside the modern Democratic Party, look no further than Representative Dila Ramirez. Standing in Mexico City speaking in Spanish, she proudly declared, "I am a proud Guatemalan before I am a proud American." And the crowd cheered. Now, this wasn't a slip. This was a worldview. It's the idea that loyalty belongs not to the United States, but to one's ethnic tribe, exactly the mindset that's fueling Omar's defense of her district's fraud networks. The modern Democratic Party has become a collection of ethnic power blocks, BLM activists, La Raza organizers, Somali nationalist networks, Guatemalan political associations, all operating under the banner of grievance-based identity politics. Now, loyalty isn't to America, it's to the group. It's tribal. And this is why Democrats protect these fraud networks even when the evidence is overwhelming. If the tribe is threatened, they close ranks. Now, Omar isn't just defending fraudsters. She's defending the ethno-tribalist coalition that her party now relies on to survive. So President Trump responded to this entire scandal with the same clarity that he brought back in 2016. America first. No exceptions. He declared that post-American ideology is dead in his administration. National loyalty is the standard. Terror-linked fraud gets zero tolerance. Instead of hand-wringing or political correctness, Trump ordered a federal cleanup. DHS, DOJ, and Treasury moving in lockstep to dismantle every remittance pipeline feeding terror networks abroad. Under Trump, America is not apologizing. America is defending itself again. Now, this scandal isn't just bad for Omar. It's existential. Her district is now tied to the largest welfare fraud scheme in American history, with federal confirmation that some funds reached a foreign terror group. Her response? Calling it racist, attacking investigators, playing the victim card, of course. Even Democrats are whispering that she looks panicked, out of touch, and loyal to Somalia first. Moderates who once tolerated her are now seeing the writing on the wall. Ilhan Omar's political foundation, it is collapsing under her feet. And so now the anger is erupting from the ground up. Minnesotans, Democrats, independents, moderates, they're all furious. They're now asking how hundreds of millions in child nutrition funds could vanish. Meanwhile, the state looked the other way. They're demanding accountability after learning that taxpayer money ended up in an al-Shabaab territory. Calls for Omar's resignation are growing. Calls for Ilhan Omar's deportation are growing, right along with talks of recall mechanisms. This isn't partisan outrage anymore. This is a multiracial, working-class rebellion from people who feel robbed, betrayed, and even deliberately kept in the dark. And so with terror-linked fraud now exposed, the Trump administration is treating this as a national security emergency. DHS, DOJ, and Treasury are now under direct orders to trace every remittance pipeline touching Somalia. Investigators are warning that similar fraud rings may be operating quietly in other states, exploiting the same loopholes. Years of lax oversight created vulnerabilities that hostile groups exploited. Trump's directive is clear. Shut it down, tighten the vetting, and protect the homeland. Under this administration, national security is not negotiable. It is a priority. And so this scandal isn't just reshaping Minnesota, it's reshaping the entire national immigration debate. With terror-linked fraud confirmed, TPS prosecutions for other high-risk countries, they're now under review. Refugee vetting standards, relaxed for years, are tightening again under President Trump. And for the first time, federal regulators, they're openly discussing whether remittance networks should be reclassified as monitored financial channels due to the terrorist taxation. The days of send money overseas with no oversight, those are over. This case forced America to wake up. Now, this is where the contrast becomes undeniable. Omar says America's racist, Somalis are victims, and fraud investigations are persecution. Trump says America must defend itself. Investigations are necessary, and terror financing will not be tolerated. Now, one narrative weakens the country, but the other one protects it. And polling shows Americans overwhelmingly side with Trump because the facts are too big to ignore. When taxpayer dollars end up in terror-controlled territory, people don't care about identity politics. They want security. And so as we move into early 2026, Ilhan Omar faces the most vulnerable moment of her entire political career. Minnesota Democrats are now privately panicking, unsure of how to defend her. The GOP challengers are already lining up, backed by a fired-up base and a national security message that cuts through every demographic. Even left-leaning voters are voicing frustration over the fraud, over the excuses, and the deflection. The battlefield is shifting fast. And for the first time, Omar's seat isn't just contested, it is endangered. And now the whole nation is watching. Minnesota, yes, Minnesota has become the epicenter of the largest terrorism financing scandal in American welfare history. Federal agents warn more indictments are coming, more money trails, more exposure. The story isn't winding down in the least bit. It's accelerating. And Ilhan Omar is standing in the blast zone. Her district has become a symbol of what happens when post-American politics collides with real-world national security. The scandal is no longer a headline, it's a turning point for the country. So ladies and gentlemen, the fraud network is unraveling, the terror links are confirmed, and the walls around Ilhan Omar's political empire are collapsing faster than ever every single day. Stay tuned, stay vigilant, because this story is about to get even bigger. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this story to someone who needs to hear about it. We'll see you next time. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.